Ane. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Aria in the latest Deep Dive by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover, well, what seems like a simple story, but it has a really critical detail hiding just beneath the surface.
We're talking about a major military transfer. We are diving deep into Poland's final Soviet-era fighter fleet.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about some aging jets. It's a strategic puzzle.
It really is. We have to figure out why Warsaw, one of Kyiv's strongest and most important allies, is willing to send up to 9 MiG-29s to Ukraine in early 2026, but is holding 5 back.
That's the core question.
Right, that's the paradox we're solving. Poland has 14 jets left, but the offer is strictly up to 9, so why the hard cap? And here's the other kicker. Unlike the first batch of MiGs Poland sent in 2023, this isn't a donation.
Not at all. They're demanding something radical and pretty high-tech in return.
And the answer is a brilliant lesson in how technical restrictions, specifically around NATO equipment, can, drive entirely new geopolitical strategies. It involves legal red tape, airframe history.
And Ukraine's completely unexpected technological superiority on the modern battlefield. I mean, this deal could redefine the future of Allied aid.
Okay, let's unpack this. Poland has been an indispensable partner. They were the first NATO country to supply combat aircraft to Ukraine. Now they're looking to finalize getting rid of that legacy fleet. So give us the context here. What are the numbers?
Context is all about modernization.
Right.
As of early 2026, Poland has 14 MiG-29s left. That's 11 single-seat fighters and 3 two-seat trainers.
And from Poland's point of view, these things are basically antiques.
They are. They're officially nearing their designated service life limits. So for the Polish Armed Forces, the goal is simple. They have to be withdrawn. There's just no plan for further modernization. They were already scheduled to be scrapped or, retired by the end of 2025 anyway.
And this fits into their bigger picture. I mean, Poland is executing one of the most aggressive military modernization drives in Europe right now.
Oh, absolutely. They're shedding Soviet platforms as fast as they possibly can. They're moving to a completely Western fleet. They have their 48 F-16s, which are getting a big upgrade to the F-16V standard.
The new FA-50s from South Korea.
Exactly. The FA-50 light combat aircraft are coming online. And then the biggest piece of the puzzle, the 32 F-35A stealth jets. The first ones are set to arrive in Poland in 2026. So selling or scrapping these last MiGs is really the final logistical hurdle for them.
But the transition isn't instantaneous, right? Why do those last 14 jets still matter so much to Warsaw right now?
It's because of what they call the unacceptable gap rule. Poland just cannot afford a vulnerability in its air defense capabilities, especially being right there on NATO's eastern flank.
So until the new jets are fully integrated, the MiGs are still on duty.
They have to be. They're still vital for quick reaction alert or QRA missions.
And we saw that in action pretty recently, didn't we?
We did. Just late last year, Polish MiGs were scrambled from Malbork to intercept and track a Russian Il-20 reconnaissance aircraft that was operating over the Baltic Sea. They are actively defending NATO's border until their replacements are fully 100% operational.
A job the F-35s aren't quite ready to take over just yet.
Not yet.
So, okay. Political motivation is high. The planes are technically at the end of their life, but they're still needed for, 5 more minutes of operational readiness. Yet, the transfer is limited to up to 9. We're talking about 5 fully functional jets that won't go to Ukraine. And that brings us to the core mystery. Why only 9?
To get the limit, you have to understand the really complex history of Poland's MiG fleet. It is not a unified inventory. These jets were acquired in 3 completely separate phases.
3 phases? I thought it was just one big Soviet delivery back in the day.
No, not at all. They got the initial batch from the Soviet Union in the late 80s, sure. But then they got a few more through a barter deal with the Czech Republic in the mid-90s.
And then the famous German deal, right?
That's the one. They bought 22 very tired, very worn-out aircraft from Germany in 2003 for just €1 per jet.
Wow. That sounds like a logistical nightmare to maintain.
It was. It immediately created what we call a bifurcated force. You had the better conditioned original Polish aircraft based at MiGs-29s, and then the much more worn ex-German and Czech airframes stationed at Malbork.
And this is where the technical history directly impacts today's deal. The difference between those two groups of aircraft is massive because of NATO integration. Is that right?
That's it exactly. Between 2011 and 2014, Poland put a good number of their MiGs, the 16 from the Mińsk-Mazowiecki base, through a really extensive NATO modernization program.
What did that involve?
New onboard computers, multifunction cockpit displays, new navigation systems,
Yeah.
all designed to make them interoperable with the rest of the alliance.
And the crucial restriction is tied directly to that interoperability hardware.
Yes, and specifically, the Western Identification Friend or FOE transponders, the IFF system. This is the absolute heart of the technical problem.
What's so special about the IFF?
The modernized jets use sensitive cryptographic standards, and critically, they contain intellectual property from the US and Israel. These systems are basically the digital keys to NATO identification.
So if the jet is NATO updated, the advanced tech actually makes the transfer harder, not easier. How does that work legally?
Well, because those components are controlled by third parties, the US and Poland can't just give them away. They essentially need a diplomatic permission slip, a third-party export approval from Washington and Tel Aviv before they can move the aircraft to a non-NATO country like Ukraine.
And that process is not simple.
It's incredibly complicated. It takes months, sometimes longer, and it involves significant political risk.
And that paperwork, that red tape, connects directly to why we're seeing the up to 9 limit.
That is the link. The aircraft Poland is greenlighting for immediate transfer are what we're calling the legacy tranche, largely the older, unupgraded airframes from the Melbourne base.
The ones that didn't get the fancy NATO refit.
Right. These jets did not receive that deep NATO integration. They're much closer to their original Soviet configuration. And the critical point is they lack that sensitive Western IFF technology.
So what you're saying is they are prioritizing the jets that are legally simple to move, even if it means holding on to the 5 jets that are technically more capable just because of international intellectual property law.
It's the ultimate pragmatic decision. Yeah. The number, 6 to 8, less than 10, it aligns perfectly with the handful of jets whose operational service life is already expiring anyway, and whose transfer avoids that massive legal and geopolitical headache.
So Poland is turning a legal restriction into a rapid, decisive political move. Okay, now let's talk about the exchange rate. This is the biggest strategic shift from previous aid. This is not a donation, it's a symmetrical partnership, a barter. So what is Poland demanding for jets that are effectively headed for the scrapyard?
They're demanding future capability, technology. Polish officials have been very public about this, stating they expect to receive certain technologies in the field of unmanned systems and missiles, and all the know-how that comes with it.
From Ukraine?
From Ukraine. The core goal here is to accelerate their own domestic defense industry, the Polska Grupa Zbrojeniowa, by getting their hands on technological data and blueprints for systems that have been proven successful in intense combat.
This is where Ukraine's incredible battlefield innovation becomes its new, highly valuable currency. I mean, necessity has forced Kiev to become a world leader, especially in low-cost, high-impact unmanned systems.
Absolutely. Ukraine scaled up its domestic drone production at a staggering rate. They pioneered tactics like mass drone swarms, FPV drone use, giving them this unique advantage. Poland's own defense minister, Kosiniak-Kamysz, he underscored this when he called the Ukrainians the best in drones.
Poland wants that knowledge, the know-how, the resilience, the proven designs.
That's what they're trading for.
Are there any specific high-end systems mentioned as part of this exchange?
The sources are pointing to strong Polish interest in 2 major Ukrainian systems. First, the Destinus Ruta Block II cruise missile. It's described as a low-observable, stealth-oriented system designed for mass production.
And autonomous strike capabilities. That would be a huge industrial upgrade for Poland.
It's a major one. And the second system is the Flamingo long-range missile.
The Flamingo, what are the specs on that?
The system reportedly has a claimed range of over 3,000 kilometers.
3,000 kilometers. Wow. That radically changes Poland's long-range deterrence and its defensive calculus. So they're turning an aging fighter jet transfer into a foundational step toward acquiring a sophisticated future missile capability.
It's a masterful trade-off. Poland gets to turn an end-of-life liability, these maintenance-heavy jets, into a genuine technological leap, focusing on the future of warfare. It's a net win for securing NATO's eastern flank long-term.
Okay, now let's flip it. Let's look at this from the receiving end. Why does Ukraine still prioritize these aging MiGs when they're supposed to be transitioning to X-16s and Mirage 2000s?
It really boils down to 2 things: immediate attrition and the critical pilot gap. Ukraine has taken heavy losses. We're talking 33 confirmed MiG-29 losses since 2022.
So every single airframe counts.
Every single one is desperately needed just to keep their current air defense levels stable. They are fighting a war of attrition every single day.
And we keep hearing the operational bottleneck isn't the planes themselves, it's the pilots.
That is the crucial point President Zelensky keeps making. Ukrainian pilots can jump into these Polish MiGs immediately. Zero additional training. That readiness is invaluable.
Compared to the Western transition.
Right. Training a seasoned Ukrainian pilot on the F-16, even in an accelerated program, takes between 8 months and a year and a half.
And pulling your most experienced pilots off the front line for over a year is a huge operational cost during an active war.
It's a luxury they just can't afford. So these MiGs keep experienced pilots in the air, defending cities, performing immediate tasks right now, which buys them time for the long-term Western training programs to ramp up.
And what about logistics? These Polish airframes, even though they're an older variant, they still offer immense value, right?
They absolutely do. Poland uses the older 9.12 variant. Ukraine mostly uses the 9.13. But the core engines, the RD-33s, and the main systems are compatible.
Which means spare parts.
It means they're vital as parts donors to sustain Ukraine's existing workhorse fleet. And that's a critical necessity, because the supply of Soviet origin spares from other former Warsaw Pact countries, like the 13 MiG Slovakia already transferred, well, that supply is rapidly being exhausted. They need this stream of parts to keep flying.
So what we have here is a strategic transaction that is complex. It's constrained by a historical technical decision, that IFF system, but ultimately it provides maximum strategic benefit for both sides and helps sustain the fight on the Eastern Front.
That's the perfect summary. Poland successfully sheds these end-of-life, maintenance-intensive legacy jets that were headed for the scrap heap anyway. In return, they get advanced combat-proven technology that dramatically boosts their future defense industry.
And Ukraine gets critical immediate air defense capacity to keep up the fight while its long-term Western fighter training continues.
It's solidarity at its most pragmatic and, I think, most innovative.
It's a fascinating evolution, really. The whole MiG-29 story went from being a complicated political hot potato back in 2022, that whole mess at Ramstein, to this strategic, technical, and industrial exchange in 2026. And the technical restriction, the need for US and Israeli approval on the modernized IFF, it forced Poland to limit the sale to just 9 jets. But that very restriction, ironically, became the catalyst for this huge technology transfer deal. So we have to ask, if Ukraine's proven battlefield innovation in drones and long-range missiles is now considered more valuable by NATO allies than their own legacy military hardware, will this tech-for-platform barter become the new gold standard for allied military aid, permanently changing how aging defense systems are valued and retired across the entire Western world?
That is the question that's going to define a lot of future arms deals.
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.